Hello, welcome to Animal Audit Corner. Today, do I have a story today? Well, you know what? It keeps coming up and coming up because guess what? I don't have the equipment that I need to actually edit out, even though I do and I edit it out later, but this is a live show. So to keep me from having dead air, I just keep on talking. And I know you guys don't want any dead air. So I talk. But however, this is a cooking segment I bring you every Sunday. So if you like all my cooking segments and you want more of my cooking segments all through the week, I'll bring it to you. Just drop me an email to Nisa Tarosian, 2 words put together, 2@gmail.com. That is the compound word Nisa Tarosian 2@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'm only going to bring it to you once a week. Because you know why? When you get out of a cult and you trying to have the basic skills to survive on your own, you need all the necessities you need. That includes a job, a roof over your head, and that's where the MJR Aftermath Foundation is for, and the ASPCA Foundation is there too, to help you to get back on your feet. And as soon as you get all those necessities, and you really need the basic necessities to live, and that's including learn to cook. Now, I'm not really a master chef, but these are one of the skills that I use in my everyday life. Even though, well, usually I have a salad, but every day, I create stories and all that, but I'll get down to the nitty-gritty. I won't keep you. But however, today we are going to make, since this is a vegan and vegetarian show, although I try to be a vegan, but I have to live with my means. And the more healthier you eat, the more it's going to cost. And unfortunately, I have to balance those two somehow. So last week, I bought you the Father's Day brunch, but for some reason, when I bought it back into the studio while I was editing, one of the lighting got in the way. And of course, it didn't look good, so I have to bring you this recipe again. It's tofu scramblers, and it's better than the original scramblers, which is made from eggs. And as you know, as you get older, sometimes if you don't keep a track of it, your cholesterol will go up. This is where it comes in. This is more healthier than original eggs. This is tofu that we're going to turn into a mock version of scrambled eggs. So we're going to put that in. And we're going to need a potato masher, or whatever that thing is called. Let me get it. All right. First, there's water in it. Okay. And you're going to need a pan. I'll get it right now. And there it is. There's your frying pan or whatever pan. Because guess what? If we fry food, your cholesterol will go up. So drenching it is not such a good idea. When you're using vegetables, sometimes people fry it, but that's not such a great idea. So use a steamer. Anyhow, I don't want to get off subject, which I'm doing. And of course, since this is the morning, I'm in my pajamas. And we're going to have brunch. So you got your tofu in here. Mash it up. Yeah, you're thinking, why not the real stuff? I mean, I'm not knocking anyone. But at the same time, some people are animal rights activists and don't want to bother with them. And of course, I'm one of them. I don't want to see dead carcasses in my house. That's just the way I am. And everything happens for a reason. Okay. So we got this. We mush it up to make it look like a mock version of scrambled eggs. Okay, see? Of course, I hope the light's right there. This is the mock version. And we are going to make it look yellow. And all the herbs that are used, the parsley, is to liven it up. And plus, I am going to put salt in there. Okay. So, we actually mushed this up, mashed it up like it was mashed potatoes. Then you're going to add curry powder. Now, this gives it a yellowy look like the original. And plus, the herbs have main ingredients that also is great for you and has these benefits. Now, to find out those benefits, go on Google it, and see what every herb has for benefits for us. Cinnamon, believe it or not, levels off your sugar intake. It just brings it down a little bit, but you have to do also things. If you're diabetic, don't just go at this. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. So go in doctor's work. It's good for your diabetes, and it keeps from, the cinnamon keeps you from actually having your diabetic activities level off a bit. Now, just go Google it and check with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm just giving you a piece of information. Teaspoon and a half of curry powder. which I think it's the herb of India. It's originally from India, I think. Google it. I should know this ahead of time, but it's basically used in Indian cooking in India. Add 1 teaspoon parsley. Of course, if you're going to put other herbs in there, just put like maybe 1.5 teaspoons of it to just liven it up. So I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of parsley. And we're going to add 1/4 of salt. Now, be careful with your salt. If you're a little older, be careful when you have this because it could spike your blood pressure. So check with your doctor each and every time. I got the resources in the link down below. So check it out. If you don't have a doctor, it's right there. Okay, so we're going to stick it in. And then we're going to take a spoon. Of course, if you have a cooking spatula, that's fine. But you know what? You don't have to get too fancy to cook. So use a tablespoon. We're going to mix it up like this. Start stirring it up. Now, if you're looking to drop a pound or two, vegetarianism will take off half your weight. Now, I'm going to credit it for keeping half my weight off because when I was a meat eater, I was big, and plus, at the same time, I didn't know portion control. And it looks like I've always been an animal lover, and it was in the making for me. Because when I was growing up, I loved dogs so much that people made fun of me and kept singing songs about dead animals. And I got sensitive about it. So it wasn't a making. That's what happened. It looked that way. It looks like vegetarianism was going to be in my future, even though I was a meat eater. I turned into a vegetarian when I was 18. I cut off all the red meat, and then for like maybe about 3 or 4 years later, when I was in my 20s, I went off of poultry altogether. Now, I still ate eggs, but I was younger and there's not that many great foods, and it's hard enough to be a vegetarian because you need the protein in your everyday diet. And since I didn't have it, I had to go find means like eating nuts and eating more oatmeal. So what I do when I went vegetarian and cut off the eggs altogether, I started eating nuts. Now, have them in your daily snack. Okay, back to the subject in hand, because guess what? I complain when people go off subject, but you know what? I bounce around from time to time telling you stories. So mix it up. This is what it's going to look like, but it's going to, the color's going to break through once you start cooking it. So it turns into a yellow color when you cook it. All right, you got all the herbs in. This has to go back on the parsley because, you know what, I forgot to do it. So you close it up. You don't need this any longer. There. But however, if you really want to put more herbs in, put like 1 teaspoon of one of the ingredients that you're going to put in, and then maybe a half or a teaspoon more, or 1/3 or 1/4 more, because it would balance off. Okay, so we don't need the salt anymore. We don't need the curry anymore, so we're going to put it away. Ooh, yes, I forgot. Add a couple of teaspoons of garlic. Okay. Okay, here's one. Now, garlic has its own benefit. It is great for your health. So, your heart. It's a great thing for your heart. Okay. Then you stir this up. All right. Then you need half of a pepper. So just cut this one up. Okay. Cut this up. Use only half of it. Of course, I use the whole thing, but I'm not using the whole thing because guess what? One of the recipes that I got from the internet, so I'm putting only half of it in so I don't get sued. That's the thing. So if you're going to do something like this, you have to either reduce it or just put a little bit more in the recipe to make you look fine. Because you don't have the money to actually counter it and that person walks all over you. Of course, that would be their normal reaction. You want to countersuit, but no. Okay, just do it up a little bit. I'm doing it up a bit so I don't get sued. So we're going to cut up this pepper and place it in the tofu scrambler. Of course, I'm not a home decor diva and all that, because guess what? I don't know anything about home furnishing or decorating. I would like to, but guess what? Looks like I'm not that kind of person. But however, I thought, you know what? Maybe I need it, maybe I'm not. I don't really have guests coming into my house. So I don't really do much entertaining in the house. My sister-in-law does it. So anyways, and the reason why I talk like this is because I don't want dead air, and I don't think you do either. So I kept on talking and talking and talking, because part of the duration of a video is keep on talking. You don't want dead air. That's the last thing you need as a creator when you have your own YouTube channel, to have dead air. Now, as you notice, the news broadcaster and all the TV shows don't have dead air. Otherwise, the ratings would go down. So while I'm doing this, and since this is live and I don't want dead air, yeah, I'm going to top and yeah, make it exciting. That's for you, because I don't want you to get bored, and I don't want to be boring. That's the thing. So anyways, I don't do much entertaining because my house is not that appealing. And I'm not into, I wish I was into home decorating, but I'm not. Jenna Miscavige is, as you know. She's the niece of the leader of Scientology, and this channel's about cults, including Scientology, which seems to be that they get away with it more than any other cult in history, because guess what? They infiltrate the government. That's what they do to keep themselves out of trouble. Well, that'll get you into trouble, but they don't want to suffer any consequences. You know, all the level-headed people and normal people think that's called breaking the law, which it is. So, okay, now I'll tell you how to actually try and put an end to Scientology's illegal practices. And that will eventually come up while I'm cooking, because that's what, you don't want any dead air. That's not what I want either, because then it's going to look boring, and it also costs networks money if there's dead air. So then, okay, so we're going to get rid of all the white stuff that's in there. All right, we got rid of everything that's in there, the seeds and the white pussy stuff that comes out of it. And that is usually there when it grows. Okay, so we're going to start chopping it up. Of course, I like it in small, tiny little pieces, because guess what? That was what my mother did when me and my brother were growing up. So, and I thought it looked appealing, so I did it. But guess what? I don't want to take up much time, because guess what? My berries, last time I checked, was on 65. I don't know where it's at now, so I'm not going to waste much time. So we chop up the peppers, the orange peppers. I don't have green peppers. We throw that in there. And as I'm cutting, now, if you're a protester and it's in, and it is something that you love, go ahead and do it. But there are laws that people have to abide by. And all the professional protesters, they find out ahead of time what you need to do and what laws that they have to follow in order to protest. Because guess what? Usually people don't like the protest, and I mean, they don't sometimes don't understand that that's part of the Constitution is freedom of speech. But sometimes, guess what? It gets out of hand and the wrong people go in. So there's usually arrest made. So the lawyer, that's where it comes in. You're going to need a lawyer. And in case the people who you're protesting sometimes breaks the law. So that's where the lawyer comes in. They're there to fix it and say, you know what? These people don't break the law. They're expressing their First Amendment rights. And that's what the people in the anti-Scientology movement is doing. They're doing everything legal. But Scientology and other cults break the law. And that's where the lawyer comes in. Yes, Tom Cruise is a Scientologist, and so is John Travolta. The thing is, I don't think John Travolta is aware that Scientology is breaking the law. I think he's just too gullible. I'm sorry to say this, but either that or he's being kept there because guess what? He is part of the LGBTQ community, and I don't think he's aware of it. He's got totally different feelings from everyday heterosexual feelings, and they're hovering that over his head. And that's not right. So all you in the LGBTQ community, and Adam Lambert, you might not be watching this, but mention this. And of course, he's not going to come out and say, yeah, I'm getting blackmailed and all that. He's not going to come out and say that. Because I think that the thing that they're hovering over other people's heads is they use blackmail to keep their members in. And that's why they call it a cult. So eventually, Nora Ames got married to a man. Of course, that's what Scientology was controlling her. They are not into people of other sexualities. And I know regular churches aren't either. Is it wrong? Yes, it is. But they're going to say, hey, you know what? It's in the Holy Bible, so tough. You cannot be gay. But guess what? Times are changing and more information's coming out. And that would be the way they go. And other religions and other customs that people are using, like the source of white magic, they don't do anything to hurt another human being. And every moment I get on the computer and they give accurate information. And guess what? All the tools on Christmas and Easter were original pagan decorations. Right there. Now, they don't talk about it that much because I think people will know that that's a pagan product, and they keep saying things about paganism and saying it's evil when they're using traditional pagan decorations. Now, growing up, we all are told if it's wrong, don't use it. The church is using it. And that would make them look like hypocrites. Whether it's a transition or not, you're still using a pagan decoration. Now, half the paganism, which is the art of white magic, doesn't harm or hurt people or hurt the environment. They just worship the earth, which is the grass, the trees, the sky, and fertility, which comes in. It's not always about sex, a man and a woman. It's how the world is when it comes to having everyday life. They also worship the water. So I'm not saying all churches are evil. That's not their intent at all. They don't want to be evil. But guess what? We're not perfect. We're going to mess up. Now, I do go to church, but on occasion, but I don't like the way they talk about other groups and other religions. Like Buddhism, they think it's evil. It's not. It's a peaceful worship. Okay, granted, there's going to be a wrong person in the mix. Granted. But usually it's a peaceful religion. They don't hurt people. Neither does Hindu. Of course, you know there could be a cult like Guru in the mix, and it's wrong, but still, it's not evil. And okay, granted, there are evil people out there and use those as evil purposes. Granted. So we're going to keep on chopping this. Hopefully, my 60% will continue to last. So we're just going to cut down into a line. So okay. Now the LGBTQ community has the right idea. They're not saying they hate churches and the people in them. They're just expressing their feelings. Maybe the churches are not going to always like it, but that's just the way it goes. We have to learn to accept people for who they are, not what they are or what they do. Because in life, things happen. And sometimes in another person's destiny. But it's not always evil. So sometimes churches tend to talk out of line. But you know what? That's not their intent either. They want to be good and they want to be peaceful. But guess what? We're not always perfect. Just like people outside of the church, we're not perfect. We're going to mess up sometimes. So, but there are people out there that do horrible things and mess up big time. Okay, now we're going to put this into the bowl. Okay, we're not going to put the other half in, but guess what? You can use the other halves of these peppers in a salad and other recipes. I use them for salads. I love salads. But you know what? Yes, I am up here to be a little chunky. I do need to lose belly fat, but the rest of me is fine. It would have been a problem if I was, a little bit big, but I'm not knocking other people because they're overweight and over the limit. I'm going to treat them like people. And guess what? All Scientology does is give people beans and rice. And the volunteers who are in OSA appeal to David so they let them have a higher position and get more privileges while everybody else is suffering away. Now, David Miscavige is evil. So those of you who are in front of a computer and is looking to get out, the MJR Aftermath Foundation is there to help you, and so is the SPTV Foundation will also help you. get out of that cult. So if you're in the library in front of a computer and want to get out desperately, run to your local police department. I'm not excluding the police department, even though some of these people in the police department, like the south end of Chicago, which Scientology is at, is getting paid by Scientology, and they're working for Scientology, and so is the LAPD. And other parts aren't. The police station down the street from me does great work, and they do think of the community, and they don't let evil people win. Okay, so next, the yellow pepper. Of course, I don't have a green pepper because I never think of buying it. And yeah, and I always like to go in a different direction. All right, we'll pull this off. And then we're going to cut it up. We're going to cut this up. Okay. So, no, I don't want dead air, and neither do you. I'm going to keep talking to make this video look interesting. Because guess what? Here's dead air. It's not going to be so interesting. It's going to look boring, and you're going to sit there twiddling your thumbs. You don't want that either. So I'm going to keep on talking and talking. All right. So we're going to chop up the peppers. And while I'm chopping it up, I'll say what's on my mind so it won't be boring. So anyways, there are good police officers, and I'm not going to leave them out. If you need help, and it's a normal police department, if not, according to John Poe, go to the head of the police department, which is the FBI, and go to a normal person and report it. If enough people report it, and enough people speak out against Scientology and other cults, then they'll move forward and make arrests. But you're going to have to voice your help, and then they'll start taking action. The reason why Scientology is getting away with everybody is because nobody's reporting them. And usually those poor people are brainwashed by David Miscavige. And the original leader came up with the brainwashing technique. And that's why people just don't go for help. But eventually, some of the brainwashing is going to deteriorate, just disappear. And this is where I'm coming in. If you need help, and you know you do, go to the police. But if you think the police is not going to do anything to help you, go to the FBI. Go directly to the FBI. Express your needs. And there are people that aid you, like the Aftermath Foundation and the SPTV Foundation. They'll aid you, and there are other aides out there that will help you. Just bring it up with the police and see what they can do. Because not every police officer in the world out there is going to be corrupt. They're there to help everybody and serve the public's best interests. They're not there to hurt people. Even though sometimes there are police officers out there who get greedy and want more money, which I'm not knocking, but it's the evil organizations that they're going to, like Scientology. Now I'm going to throw this away. So there are good police officers out there. So everybody, if you're a friend of a library computer, go to the police department. If you have a handler, scream. And everybody will take notice, because guess what? In the library, you're not allowed to be loud. But if somebody stands up like that and screams and yells, that'll attract attention. And that's what you want to get out of that situation like that. So, hopefully Joy Veal is watching this. If not, then you know what? Then it's her fault, because she doesn't want to come up more information like this, like the rest of them. And I'm not trying to cause an infight, but they're going to more of the channels that get more views. They're not helping the ones that are actually want to be a part of the SPTV movement and choose to talk about the subjects of cult and Scientology topics. Because, okay, yes, we're not always perfect, and Natalie seems to be a good person, but we make mistakes. So I'm not going to knock it all the time. So now, just bring up the fact that maybe there are other people out there who have other sources of information like me, because every time, sometimes I forget to put all the information down below, have all the resources for mental health providers and doctors, including, well, I happen to be an animal rights activist. I have pet care down below and emergency numbers down below for pets. So if you know that Scientology's going after your pets, because you know what? Pets are usually, especially dogs, they're very territorial when it comes to their families that they're in. They don't want to see their family hurt. They're really sensitive about feelings, and of course, they go after them. There's information down below too. I have information about mental health providers, doctors, regular primary care doctors, and pet care. Since this is an animal, also has an animal rights platform, because that's the way I wanted to do it. So not only I'm into human rights, I'm into animal rights, and I combine those two together, since Scientology is also abusing animals. Because I think it was Stacy's, I forgot her last name, had a dog, and what happened was Scientology kidnapped that dog and pulled all its teeth out, and that dog was suffering. Is the dog still alive? I don't know. And in one of my other stories, she also had pets that she was fostering, taking care of them as they finding homes for them. And Scientology was pulling pranks, making phone calls to the landlord and making false reports to animal control, which is not true, because usually they want to hurt the people that leave and spill all their secrets out that are wrong, and they're spilling secrets about their illegal activity. Scientology and other cults, you're doing something wrong, you should suffer the consequences just like everybody else. Okay, we're going to put the pepper in. And of course, yes, I'm an actress. I've been one for 30 years. And of course, it deals with a lot of rejections. If you're getting into the field, have another side job. Or better yet, go back to school, get an education, and you'll get a better job. Now, I wish I'd done that. With me, I really wanted to become a kindergarten teacher, but I didn't really have enough money to go. And of course, my brother did not want to help me out on it. But you know what? It's his money. I understand. But however, I decided to use it and become an aide, but my other resume is stuck in my other computer, and he actually put a parental control on it. And me, 55 years old, and my brother puts a parental control on it. I'm being controlled. But you know what? Families are like that. They're not perfect. But we're not really that bad compared to other people, because they do worse than this. So we're going to cut up the red paper, put it in here, and then all of this is going to go into my salad that I'm going to eat during the week. I love my salads. I love living off of salads. And that's why I haven't gotten really any bigger. I also tend to be careful of what I eat. I don't eat sugar all the time. Sugar could ruin your health, but you can have it on occasion. So we're going to put that pepper away. I put it in my refrigerator. Of course, we'll pull out these peppers. Okay. Like I said earlier, Jenna Miscavige is the Martha Stewart of the former Scientology world. That's the way I look at it. She knows all of this, the decor, the cooking, the baking. Of course, I am into baking, but these are one of the skills you need to survive. You need food to survive. So yes, I do cook. And I cook more on Saturday and Sunday. So I'm bringing you Saturday and Sunday anyway. If you want me to add an extra time, actually, I should have my email address so you can keep in touch with me and what you want to see more on my show. I'm leaving it in your hands. I'm trying to make this into an interactive show. Eventually, when I get people and figure out this whole chat thing, I will have trivia. But right now, I only usually get 1 or 2 people. So that's not enough to have a trivia. And I am trying my best. And yeah, well, I want to get a job desperately, but guess what? It's trapped in my other computer. And my brother's not that great enough to open it for me. So that's just the way it goes. Some people are not nice people. But you know what? He tries his best to be good. That's all that counts. And yes, we're not perfect. There's something wrong with all of us. Okay. But there are people out there who break the law, like Scientology. Some of them pay the price and get put on trial and get found guilty. Now we're going to have to, since you guys are the taxpayer and I pay my fair share of taxes in the past, we can go in and say, look, do you people who we elect into office do your job? Because guess what? Right now, Nancy Cartwright is whining and dining Pam Bondi. So Trump and the other government officials look the other way while they commit a crime. Now, right now, I don't know whether she's aware of it or not, but she's being used as a tool. She doesn't want to admit it. So we can't look to her. And she thinks it's a religion because David Miscavige tells her. And all the other celebrities. But there are not too many celebrities in there, according to Aaron Smith 11. They all left. And there are a few still left in there because they believe all the garbage that he tells. But others go back in because guess what? It's a lot like a drug. For some reason, that control mechanism sticks with them, and they try to. Priscilla Presley tried to leave, but she keeps going back. And then, of course, Lisa Marie passes away from heart failure or a heart attack, and it's sad. Now, is it devastating? Yes. To a mother, yes. But is she devastated? I don't know. Because I keep hearing different, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to go to a grieved parent who lost a child. Now, I know I don't have any kids, but we have to go along with what another people feels, and yeah. Don't go by what David Miscavige feels, because guess what? He's full of bull. So we chop this pepper up. We can take out the white stuff. Take it out. A little left in there. Chop up the peppers. So I don't want to take up much of the time, so I don't want my batteries run out on me. But it was at 65 when I started, so I guess I'll be okay. And then later on, when my acting career went into the opposite direction, I went back to school, and that was the best thing I ever did. I am using all my skills, and eventually, you know what? I found my niche. I would like to do it, but guess what? My resume is stuck in my other computer. And of course, I can't get into it because my brother and sister-in-law has a parental control on it, so I can't go to each and every site. And my brother refuses to get the computer fixed and won't let me get into that computer, and my resume is stuck in there. I know you don't want to hear any family squabbles or problems. To tell you the truth, I don't either, but I have to fill up the time. And sometimes stuff like this happens and the person ends up without a job, which is sad. And I'm not knocking it. We're not perfect. Families are also going to mess up. And yeah, my family's not perfect, and neither am I. And I mess up too. Otherwise, I'm going to dump this in. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. I'm cooking in a very hot kitchen. And of course, it's the first day of summer, so celebrate it. And that's what I do each and every time the weather changes. I celebrate. All righty. Okay, now we're going to throw this away. Okay, today I'm here because I'm in front of the stove, and we need to actually cook up this egg substitute. Now, I'm not knocking anyone. If you want to use real eggs, fine. But if you're going to use real eggs, don't put salt in it. By nature, it has salt. But I don't want to upset the other animal rights activists, so there we go. And I do want other people to come onto my channel. Now, SPTV and the top channels from the ASPCA network doesn't always promote all the channels. They want to talk about the people who have more views. They don't all want to talk about the people who are trying to get viewers. So, yeah. And guess what? Aaron Smith-Levin started the ASPCA network online. Because guess what? That's what Scientology hates the most. Stuff getting out there. And of course, L. Ron Hubbard was not up to technology going into the future, so he's stuck in his own time warp. Because back then there were no internets, but there were newspapers, and he hated the news because he fears that his truth is going to come out. But he didn't look to the future and think, well, there's going to be stuff in the future and I'm going to stop it. That's where the weakness comes in. And we will snoop in and make sure justice is served for all the victims, especially the ones who died in the hands of Scientology. So, and we're going to have this for the breakfast. And oh boy, I needed the tablespoon. So let's see if I have another tablespoon. And little behold, I do. I have another teaspoon. So we're going to put 1 tablespoon of olive oil because we don't want the egg substitute to stick to the pan. Okay, so I'm going to put 1 teaspoon. Oh my gosh. First day of summer and I am hot like crazy. And all the time on my oven and my coffee maker is not at the right time. I'm going to have to fix it. So we're going to put 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now, this is what I use. Now, on occasion, if you use a little amount, it's good for you. So you're going to have to use a little amount. So 1 tablespoon of olive oil going directly in your pan. So there we go. And then we're going to wipe this off because guess what? If any kind of oil go into the sink, it'll clog it up. So you need to wipe up any oil that collects because it'll clog up the sink. And when it does that, you're going to have to call a plumber. Do not use anything else, including liquid plumber, because that'll make it, even though it works to flow through, it'll cause future damages to your pipe. So don't do it. Just call a plumber and have him handle it. Of course, some of them don't have the resource, so I've given it to you. Because guess what? When people come out of Scientology, they're keeping their families away. So they don't have family to go to. Because they keep their families away from them. And that's what L. Ron Hubbard did. He disconnected all his family, made sure that they have no contact with them, which is wrong because they're not there to help them. So that's where the MJR Aftermath Foundation and the SPTV Foundation come up so they can get back on their feet, get them an apartment and a car, and all the resources that they need. And I also have the resource, but Aaron and Natalie really don't look into other channels. I'm not knocking them. I'm not saying that they're bad people. But they don't know about the other 251 channels that they have. They just don't. Now, I'm not knocking Aaron. It's an accomplishment. It's a big, huge success, but he also works as a real estate broker. So he has to get the cash somehow. So that's how he lives. And I actually applaud him for that, because guess what? L. Ron Hubbard and David Miscavige robbed him and Natalie from getting any real education. Of course, they went back to school later on, which I applaud that. Now, I got my high school diploma, but since I didn't get anywhere with my acting career and use that in another path, I choose to actually be a teacher and a teacher's aide. Now, I'm not going to disclose the location that I'm at, because guess what? Scientology is going to get a hold of it and go to where I live and make sure I don't get a job, because that's what they do. And I have enough problems mentally, and it's a rough thing to handle. But guess what? For you guys, I went right into the computer and got all the resources you need, and I put it down at the information below, and I also have pet care for you. So go to that information down below, and it'll be there for you. Okay. Now we're going to turn on the heat, which is going to make it even hotter. So now we're not supposed to do this, but I usually turn it on high and then turn it down after it's heated up. So would Jenna Miscavige recommend that? Probably not. It can't be too hot. So you have to have it at a level that you have. Now, okay. So go down to the information down below and get all the information. Now, those of you who need help anyways and not in a cult, and you know you need help, go to that information down below. I'm not knocking anyone else, and I'm not going to leave anyone else out. Because if you need help, you need help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Okay, let me see. Now, this one I'm going to use because if I use any other plastic spatula, it's going to melt. So I'm going to use the one that'll hold up in the heat. Oh my gosh. So let's see here. Okay, so if it waves like it's real water, that means it's ready to actually cook. So we're going to dump the egg substitute in there. Now, those of you who are not vegetarian know that tofu is healthy. And for years and years since before BC, they used tofu. This is what the Asians have, and it's high in protein. So use this as a substitute, and I made it into scramblers. Now, next week, I'll have pancakes for you. And, of course, I'll have other stuff for you to cook. And, of course, since I'm a vegetarian, I'm going to cook vegetarian items. And, of course, vegetarians do eat eggs, but it's hard to be a vegetarian, much less vegan, because they feel that it's either too high or it's tough enough to get all your proteins in. So I tend to go both ways. Okay. I'm going to turn this down a little because it's smoking and you don't want it to smoke. So we're going to dump all of the tofu in there. Okay. Hear that sizzle? That means it's ready to cook. I turned it down because I don't want it to burn, and neither do you. Now, some stoves cook faster than other stoves. This one cooks it in about 2 or 3 seconds flat. So you're gonna have to keep on top of other foods. When I first got this stove, and I put everything that I needed in my ingredients, I went off, sat down, and I'm like, okay, it's time to actually go check on my food. I go in, it burns, and it's not because of me personally, it's because of the stove I use. Check what your salesperson and ask them how fast the stove heats up. There, boom. Well, 2-second rule. So, okay. Usually, when I was growing up, my mother scraped every bowl clean. And guess what? By the time she's through, there's nothing in there. It's clean as a whistle. So she was good at it. Now I try to get good at it. This is what I got. But you know what? I don't. And I know you're not always perfect, but she knew how to scrape a bowl clean every time she baked and every time she cooked. She scraped it clean, and there's nothing left in there, not even a crumb. And it's oh my God, so different, yeah. Because she was always good at scraping every single thing clean. Now, it is so cool. Now, I am trying my best for portion control. That's where my weakness is, and this is where I got my belly. I don't know portion control, but I am trying to actually measure my food, because if you eat too much, that's it. But I'm trying to learn portion control. So guess what? I am going to get a container, and I'm going to measure the food content. And of course, usually for me, unless I'm working some job, I don't eat lunch unless I burn off all my energy and I get hungry. That's where I actually bring my lunch to work with me. So, you get a plate. Okay, now it can't be cold either, so you have to keep on mixing it up. Yeah, and the colors are starting to flow through. And of course, the curry is usually yellow when you cook it. They don't stay the same color. It has like a yellowy coloring to it. Does it have? Do they put extra coloring in it? Some companies do and some don't. But in India, they leave it as it is. They don't add color to anything. Now, according to John Poe, who once had a channel on the SPTV before getting scared off by this one idiot, he states all the other countries banned all the wrong ingredients because they cause cancer, according to John Poe, who was a Michigan state police officer. Or is it a city? Michigan. Yeah, it's a state. So, and he saw everything because the secret came out that Scientology's into illegal practices. And of course, Aaron Smith was looking for some kind of law enforcement officer, and there was John Poe, who was given all the commentary on the law. And of course, as you see, Leah Remedy found a law enforcement official and had her also on the Aftermath show, which ran for 4 seasons, and she used that as the law enforcement official. Now, of course, you know, all of you who are up to date and on top of all the SP TV shows and see that the LAPD is leading the whole thing. The Chicago PD and the Denver PD, who kept on instigating problems with Mexican long hair. That's his official internet name, I think. But they were manipulating him and falsely arrested him. And that's what happened to some of the protesters out there, because guess what? They're behind Scientology's pocket. Are they allowed to do that? No. But the truth is coming out more and more. And if the truth comes out, there are going to be other officials that will discipline them. And it could be anything from firing to prosecuting police officers who are corrupt. That's what the upper level police department does. But the detectives are not doing such a great job, because Chris Mango, he has this channel on the SPTV network, even though we're independent and do our own shows. So, and went to them, and the detective there, they don't want to actually do anything, because guess what? He's behind Scientology's pocket. And on the way out, he saw pictures of them with Scientology. All the people are in Scientology, including the celebrities, and was thinking, oh my gosh, what's the meaning of this? And of course, usually Scientology goes to a bad area that has corruption in it. So, and they're trying to put their own people, Scientology, on the board of the commissioner's advisory board. And they're a criminal organization. So a woman named Janet Whelan is in the board of commission. Now, everybody in that movement is hoping other law enforcement officers who are good and do their jobs see it. Because guess what? For some reason, they're still there. So they have the tendency to listen to the taxpayers. Jacob Miscavige doesn't pay any tax. And he found a way with L. Ron Hubbard's other evil work to infiltrate the government, and that's what he's doing right now. Oh my gosh. Oh, I am sweating bullets here. But this is what I want to do for you. I want to cook for you every single weekend on either Saturday or Sunday, because that's where I'm cooking the most. So I brought this to you because, you know what? I love my salads, but I tend to get bored with it. So I cook. So, and that's what everybody should do. If not, well, I guess you can buy a TV dinner, but it's more healthy for you and don't have any preservatives to actually have. So I have this, and I'm not leaving the rest of you out. Go ahead and cook. because this is what my recipes are for. And I'm also trying to get, now I know I'm being helped by my family, and they help me out 95% of the time. But I have to do things too to actually survive too. They can't do all of the work. I have to do some of it too. But family is usually there for a person that needs it. Now, Scientology robbed everybody that's coming out of their families because all their families still trapped in there because of Scientology. And Tom Cruise actually say, well, it's up to them if they want to disconnect. No. They make them disconnect. And guess what? Right now, he's disconnected from his only biological child that he had with Katie Holmes. He didn't attend her birthday parties. He didn't even attend her graduation. During his graduation, he was off at a Taylor Swift concert. And then for her 18th birthday, he went to Victoria Beckham's birthday party, which is a selfish thing to do. Now, if he's watching this and I'm saying it and it feels that his feelings got hurt, tough. He's going to learn how to communicate with all his family members. Now, he does have other children that he adopted with Nicole Kidman. Those are the only two he's paying attention to. But the fact that the child is with Katie Holmes and she did not want her to go into the Sea Org and eventually saw everything from the inside of what was going on, she actually planned her exit. Now, how many churches do we know plan exits? None. Valerie Haney even had to leave in the trunk of a car. Now, how many churches do you know with members leaving in the back of a car, a trunk of a car? None. How many temples and mosques do you know that members are leaving in the back of a trunk? None. The good ones anyway. But there are churches out there that are not that great either. And those who think they're great and say bad things about other churches, they're not any better. And this is my tip. You know what they're doing is wrong, that's one thing. But if they're doing good things, it's another. And what you're doing is wrong. But I'm not knocking religion. I love God and Jesus. And I love all the other things on earth. So I'm going to worship the way I want to worship. But I don't think they're aware that they're wrong sometimes. Okay. All right. So this is ready to go on your plate. It's really heated up. So now the portion size that we're supposed to have is a fistful. Of course, I usually take a little more than that. And then we're going to put the rest in here in the container to actually save for another day. Now I'm going to leave the heat on because I want sausages, the vegan kind. So I'm going to make that. All right. Okay. Oh wow. This feels so good. Let's see here. Okay. Whew. I was hanging up by the freeze because guess what? It cooled me up a little. Okay, there are 3 sausages in here left. They're patties, so we're gonna cook these up. And I can't tell you what it is because it's a copyright issue. So we're gonna toss this away before I say anything. So we're gonna place all 3 sausages in here. That's all you need, 2 or 3. And of course, you know, we all learn how to actually have a good portion on our plate, not huge portions. All right. Okay. And now I'm also gonna make some toast, and of course that's not so hard to actually use. So, and of course, if you burn it, that's okay, because guess what? If you burn it and you know you did, it's good for your teeth. Even if it's an accident, eat it anyway, because guess what? Throwing away every single thing is not good for the environment, and there's evidence against it. Google it on your Google machine or on your computer, Google machine, on your computer, and it'll come up. So if it's a little burned, don't worry, because guess what? It is good for your teeth. Now, I know a dentist that does this, and he expressed that it's good for your teeth. But of course, lemon isn't because they take off the enamel. But guess what? It's okay to have it every now and then. I still have it. I love lemonade, but he doesn't, I guess, doesn't really have it. But he eats a lot of burnt toast, and it's a little burnt, so it's okay because it's good for your teeth. So if you burn it a little, don't worry about it. It's good for your teeth. Okay. All right. So Google that, everybody that's in the SPTV channels, and look in the mirror, and it's gonna be still all right there. And plus, I use other toothpastes to make it white, but having burnt stuff really works. Well, toast anyway, not other foods, but burnt toast, it's good for your teeth. So don't knock it. So we're gonna put this into the toaster. Of course, there's not enough outlets in my kitchen, so I am going to actually put the bread away and let the toaster, I'm going to turn it on sim, and if it burns a little, that's okay. I'm not going to knock it because guess what? Like I mentioned, it's good for your teeth. So, and that's what one of my friends said, and he's a dentist, and according to him, it's good for your teeth, so don't knock it. So this is from a dentist. So don't worry about if you burn it a little. And this is a nice, hearty, healthy breakfast. So this is more healthy than the regular items that you see. Of course, they have their benefits too, but they're still dead. Let's face it. And this shows about animal rights activists along with the human rights. So, all right, so we're going to flip it over because it did thaw out. Now, I had this in my freezer. When I walked over, I was so cooled off. It was great. So, flip that over. And Aaron Smith 11, you're watching? The tofu is great. If you want to lose weight and drop half that pounds that I'm talking about, don't eat the beef jerky all the time. Because guess what? That's loaded with salt and it's not good for you. Of course, the ones that is loaded with salt and have other substitutes, it's still loaded with salt, even though, yeah. I don't have it that often because I don't really eat salt that often, but it's there to perk up your food. So, I love everything well done. I don't like everything that's undercooked. I mean, especially the vegetarian items. I like them well done. It's something that I love. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's summer and it's hot, but I choose to do this for you because guess what? If you're coming out of cult, especially Scientology, you're going to have to learn to cook. Because guess what? It sounds like they're cooking for you because that's what Natalie mentioned. So I'm here with that resource, cooking. And plus I have other information to get back on your feet when it comes to healthcare providers and mental health providers, because guess what? Scientology screws with your head. And some of the people that are in there have mental health issues. And it's because Ron Hubbard had the beef, I hope I'm saying it right, with all the psychiatrists, and was laughed out of the room and was carrying a grudge ever since. And it went on to today because guess what? They think Ron Hubbard is a source of information. He's not. He didn't even graduate college. And he actually was seeing a doctor who didn't even have a medical license. And that's how he passed on. Do we care? Not really, because he wasn't a very good person. He had mental health issues. He was schizophrenic because he had beef with the psychiatrist because they laughed at him out of the room because of the e-meter. It doesn't do anything. It's another thing like a lie detector. All right, let's see. Okay, it looks like these are ready. Pass them aside. And we're going to grab the toast. Now, okay, hopefully this is the last time I'm going to cook it for you, and I hope nothing goes wrong. Next week, I'll bring you pancakes, a vegan type pancakes. And lately, there are more vegetarians now than there were back in the 80s and 90s because of the products that keep coming out. And this is from vegetarians. I think they're vegetarian. And then other companies went into it because they think it's going to make money. Before, they did not have it. And it's a money thing. It's always money. So, okay. This one I'm going to cast aside in case I want to use it later. So, now let this cool off before putting it in the oven, because according to my mom, before passing away, if you put it into the refrigerator as soon as it's done, it's going to spoil. But however, yeah, I let it cool off a little and then put it in there. But I never had a problem, so. And there's the toast. I'm going to eat this plain. And this is the breakfast that vegans and vegetarians eat right there. And it appears to look like scrambled eggs, only it's made from tofu. So, all in all, you'll live healthier. Now, see you Monday. I'll have a story for you. I actually felt like I needed a break. Nevertheless, I felt like I needed a break, and ultimately I took that rest. I love to write. That's what I do. I love writing up stories for you guys because that's what I'm college educated and that's what I want to use. But however, I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great day.